If you're thinking of leaving land to start living the boat life, there's a few things you may want to avoid doing in order not to make a big mistake. Here's a few lessons we learned while cruising for the past 4 years. Through trial and error and by meeting other cruisers, we have come up with a pretty comprehensive list of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to moving aboard. This is a common one. It's tempting to go for the most expensive and biggest boat you can afford. Except, buying the vessel is just the first of a long list of expenses that owning a boat involves. There's almost always a refit to do to make the boat suitable to your cruising needs and preferences. There's maintenance, storage, insurance, and mooring fees to take into account as well. If you spend nearly all your money on the boat or her refit, you'll end up being unable to maintain her well, or making bad decisions based on the fact that you can't afford to lose her. Think of an incoming hurricane. If you have invested everything you have in your boat, you will likely want to stay on board, and you may be afraid of putting her in a marina or yard. The best solution for your personal safety is to store her safely and leave. But could you, if you knew that you're leaving everything you own behind? Whatever your plans, unless you have savings you are happy to live on while you cruise, it's best to have a detailed plan about how you will make a living while sailing. It's even better if you can start earning an income that way before you set off, to make sure it does bring in money. Yes, sometimes things fall into place and you find work along the way, but sometimes this doesn't happen. Have a detailed plan, a plan B, and savings to live on until you can make money reliably. While it may seem like living on a boat will be so fantastic that you can just make do without all your old hobbies and habits, this is likely not true. If you're a foodie and don't budget for ever eating out, chances are you will grow frustrated every time you pass the delicious smelling restaurants on the local promenade. Allow yourself to do some of the things you like. You will feel more fulfilled. While it's certainly possible to buy a cruising sailboat and then learn how to sail, for example, by hiring a private instructor, it's not a great idea. How will you know if you truly like it? How will you react when faced with the realities of boat life, some of which aren't easy to put up with? It's best if you invest some money into going sailing on someone else's boat and do a lot of research on the subject before you commit to buying a cruising boat. Boats are easier to buy than to sell. Sailing qualifications, while important and sometimes compulsory, will not teach you everything you need to know to go cruising. No compulsory sailing course teaches you how to anchor properly, how to fix your boat, or how to make a long-term sailing plan. These are skills you will have to learn yourself, and you will never stop learning. The sea is always changing, and as you sail around, your cruising ground will change too. Don't rely on a piece of paper to decide whether you have the knowledge and experience to make a passage. If you don't enjoy manual work and have a generous budget, you may consider paying a professional to take care of all your boat maintenance and upgrades. However, there will be a time, for example, while on a passage or in an area with no marine engineers available, when no one will be able to help you. Unless you plan to only go coastal cruising and on calling a towing service when things go wrong, you'll need to learn how to take care of your vessel. While you can definitely cruise on a tight budget with some sacrifices, as you've seen on this channel, it's advisable to have a contingency fund for an emergency situation, say the boat sinking or a health issue. You'll want to at least be able to fly home. We have seen cruisers stranded in foreign countries relying on the kindness of other cruisers for food, and others asking for donations to buy plane tickets. When entering a country by sailboat, you are required to respect their laws and entry requirements. You can't claim ignorance. If you enter a country without conforming to their protocols, you can face serious consequences. This year, more than ever, this has been a problem. Cruisers in the USVIs accidentally tacked in closed BVI waters and were detained and fined, while a man was arrested in Grenada after landing on the island without respecting the new entry protocols. Before a big passage, make sure to check the entry requirements of the countries on your route and make a note of the correct procedure to ask for safe harbour in case your boat is in distress, and what constitutes distress. At the moment, there's also restrictions to international maritime law due to many countries being in a state of emergency. Another common mistake novice sailors make is not to learn their knots before going out to sea. A good knot can get you out of a sticky situation, such as a man overboard. If you're stuck at home on shore right now, check out A Knot a Day by Nick Compton. There's no better skill to develop right from your couch while chilling out. There are 365 knots, splices and knotting challenges on the book, all beautifully illustrated and color-coded by use. You'll be able to try out all the essential knots a sailor must know, plus mini knot craft projects and freestyle knots. Learn various techniques and interesting facts so you can prepare for the next cruising season and maybe even make your own rope swim ladder. There's a link to the book in the description of this video. Some countries will have specific requirements in place for the skipper and boat cruising their waters. For example, Greece requires a sailing qualification, a number of flares on board, plus third-party insurance on the vessel. If the maritime police performs a check and you are missing some of the required paperwork or safety gear, you can face heavy fines and potentially bans. While going out on a sailboat with little experience happens to all new sailors, it's important you understand the local tides and currents before sailing unassisted. This means learning these concepts and checking how they affect the area you're sailing in. If you don't, you could ground the boat or be unable to reach your destination. Sure, most cruisers want their boat to feel homely, as it's their only residence. However, if you decide to turn your vessel into a floating house with all the sorts of gadgets you typically see on land, such as a laundry machine, coffee machine, AC, and more, you will likely have less and less time for sailing, while you spend a lot of time in port fixing your gear. We have met sailors stuck in a marina for months due to non-essential systems such as AC or a laundry machine breaking. When you set off cruising with little experience, it's best not to tackle an ocean crossing or a difficult passage first. Chances are you will not have built up the skills and could find the experience daunting and unenjoyable. Take it slow and ease into it. You'll need experience in order to trust the boat and yourself. It may seem nothing to the ocean lovers, but if you don't go to shore at least once a week, the cabin fever will likely slowly build up and make you feel frustrated. Most humans need to walk and hang out in an open space every now and then in order to feel good, even though they don't notice it. We have met a plethora of new cruisers who professed they would circumnavigate in 5 years or cross the Atlantic after cruising for 3 months. Of these, very few are still sailing. Don't put the pressure of a circumnavigation or a challenging sailing plan on your shoulders. Nothing ever goes to plan when cruising, and you need time to get used to the boat life. If you rush, you will likely end up frustrated about your timeline and won't enjoy the present as much as you could. Go slow and plan as you go. When choosing your sailboat, make sure you bear in mind who will be sailing her with you. If you buy a monohull that has sails too big to raise or reef for a member of your crew, or a cruiser racer that goes super fast intimidates your crew, you'll end up motoring everywhere or won't be able to share watch duties. If you don't know much about boats, don't choose an unproven design or a poorly equipped boat to set off on. Chances are that you won't have the necessary experience to counteract the problems that you will encounter, and you may even struggle to identify them or prevent them. Sailing forums and YouTube channels are full of comments and opinions left by people from all walks of life. It may be that a trick that worked for someone won't work for you, as you're in a different engine or your hull was built differently. While it's tempting to spend hours reading these threads and comments, the truth is that they are rarely written by experts. Look for more official and authoritative information when you can, or you may end up making a big mistake. Thanks for watching. Did we mention all the biggest boat life mistakes you can make? I'm sure we haven't. If you have any to add, leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel and see you next week.